Man Up, a program dedicated to inspiring and helping men live lives of heroic virtue. And now, it's time to Man Up.
Welcome to Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. We are broadcasting on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network. I am Joe Stopulus, and today I am joined by John Leonetti, host of the morning show, but also an EOS implementer. EOS is an operating system for businesses that I think can actually parallel very well to our personal lives. And we'll have John here today to discuss that, and we'll talk about that further, about how it can help us setting goals and help us to be better men, better husbands. So let us start in prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So Mr. John Leonetti, most of you will know him as the host of the morning show, Catholic speaker, and author. What you may not know about John is John has a passion for what is called EOS. EOS is the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is actually many of my clients, many people I know who run their business on this. And John is very passionate about this. He's been doing it for some time now. And I personally see a lot of parallels between what John's doing and the spiritual life in our personal lives, especially as men, trying to set goals, to work on those goals, to have a path in life, all these types of things that John uses to help businesses really focus in on what they're doing, quite frankly, and set parameters and achievable metrics. I think each of us needs to be doing this in our own lives, and what John's system does, what John's utilizing the system, and what I think he helps his clients to do, is to do those very things in business that I think we need to do in our personal lives. So I'm going to have John on the other side of the break. We're going to talk about what EOS is, how it works, but then we're going to talk about how does this work in my own life as a husband, as a father, in my own personal business opportunities, the things I'm doing within my business world, my fitness world, all those types of things. I think EOS can help each of us. So we're going to head to a short break, and we'll be right back.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from Deary of Ames, home of Warranty Forever, offering new, used, and commercial vehicles, as well as service and Mopar parts. Deary of Ames is located just off of Highway 30 at the Dayton Avenue exit and online at DearyAmes.com.
Does your financial portfolio benefit from abortion, contraception, human cloning, or embryonic stem cell research? Knights of Columbus Asset Advisors offers investment products that are Catholic screened and designed for faith-based investors. Contact an advisor at 844-493-4010 or visit kfcassetadvisors.org to learn more about how you can seek to align your faith and finances. Knights of Columbus Asset Advisors is an SEC registered investment advisor. Investment products are not guaranteed and may lose value. Thank you, Advisor Gregory Waddle, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by CTO. Your support has helped thousands of students attend our Catholic schools. CTOIowa.org. At CTO, the bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
My help comes from you. You're right here.
Welcome back to Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. Excited today to be joined by my good friend, Mr. John Leonetti, to discuss EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which John has gotten into as a business venture, but I believe can play a huge part in our lives, our spiritual life, our marital life, but also, obviously, if you're in business, your business life as well. So, John, welcome back to the show, buddy.
It's my first time on radio, Joe. I'm a little nervous.
You're just such a loser. I can't believe we're doing this. Good to have you back. This is going to be a different subject for us.
Yes, it is.
So, John and I are in a men's group together, and oftentimes we'll invite people to present various topics. We've seen a Mount Everest presentation. We've had some other presentations that are pretty cool, the things people have done. And we asked you to present on your business. And our listeners probably don't know. They probably think your business is being on the radio and public speaking, which it is. But you also have kind of a separate business, which is interesting to me because I have a lot of clients who utilize what you do. And I thought it'd be worth our time today to A, discuss this, because a lot of the listeners, I'm sure, are not aware of what it is. But then B, I think there's a lot of parallels to this, what you're doing in business, that we can then replicate as men in our lives. So, John, what is EOS?
The EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, is essentially a business system harnessing all of the energy of people in the room and putting it to laser focus and doing what it is that's most important in their business. Essentially, it's there to help you get exactly what you want as a business owner. It's there to help you in three areas of your business. Number one, vision, aligning everyone in the organization, starting with the leadership team, around the same vision so you know where you're going. Number two, to be able to gain traction. So we actually want to achieve the vision, and for us to be able to do that, we've got to implement some tools and disciplines that's going to help us do just that. And then number three is to get healthy, because most leadership teams unfortunately aren't. So to the extent that we can really help everyone start rowing in the same direction, implement some of those tools and disciplines, and really get healthy, you're going to get exactly what you want from your business. And this was a system essentially that was introduced to me a number of years ago via Iowa Catholic Radio. We started running on this system. There's a lot of businesses, big and small, in Des Moines, and then of course worldwide. I'm just one of 650 implementers that run EOS for small to medium-sized companies worldwide. But it's been a game changer for us at Iowa Catholic Radio. And then a number of years ago, I told my wife, I'm going to go out and do this to be able to help small to medium-sized companies really get what they want from their business now. It's been a lot of fun.
And this is not going to be a sales pitch for EOS. It's not a sales pitch for John Leonetti. It's going to be how can we tailor this to our individual listeners' lives. And again, I personally have talked a lot about this. I think what's so cool about EOS and the way you talk about it with business is how specific it is, how it's almost dummy-proofed if you do it. And I think there's a lot of parallels. Again, I talk a lot about making life goals, about reviewing those life goals, about working on these things. And I think EOS very concretely does it. So can you give, first off, a little history lesson on the book Traction, on how it came about and kind of where it's evolved?
And I like what you're saying there, and this is important because there's no kind of blue pill here. This is all the tools and the disciplines that we use in EOS. They've been around for 100 years, and they're going to be around for 100 more. Essentially what this is just to kind of put it all together in the kind of the one package deal for the entrepreneur. So I think that's important, kind of going off of what you said. But EOS was started by a man by the name of Gino Wickman, took over his family business, ended up really selling the family business, and essentially from there kind of became a founding member of the EO Detroit chapter, Entrepreneurs Organization, and found he had a knack for helping businesses really kind of get what they want. To that extent, he authored the book Traction, became an international bestseller, which is essentially the system in and of itself. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs that have read the book and have taken some of these tools and implemented them themselves. It gained great notoriety. Long story short, of course, one implementer became two became four became 8, continued on a high trajectory growth path here, and we are running we estimate about 190,000 plus businesses are implementing some of the tools in some way, shape, or form of EOS. But our goal is, in 10 short years, 1 million businesses worldwide that are running on this system. So it's been cool to be able to see. So
companies, obviously, you already talked about step one. And I think, first off, what's cool about your story is that you actually were a beneficiary of it. You saw it through Iowa Catholic Radio. You saw the power it can have, and then you've told me privately that the reason you got into this is because you wanted to allow other people to share that with other people. You saw it. You guys said you were kind of scattered. There was no vision for the radio station, and it helped laser focus, get everyone on the same page. And you thought, man, this would be cool to be able to share with other people. So talk to me about that vision, because that's kind of step one, right, is the vision piece.
Yeah, so there's a whole lot of strategic plans out there and strategic planning and consultants that come in. First and foremost, for EOS, we're not consultants. So we have a system that we know. We come in and we coach it, we teach it, we implement it. Facilitating, of course, a discussion in the room. 95% of the time, the answer's already in the room, and it doesn't come from me. I'm just there to kind of coach the system and to pull the answers out. Vision component is the first one we start with, though, because without vision, the people perish, as Sacred Scripture says. So it's going to be impossible for us to be able to kind of get what we want done if we don't know where we're going or if we're working against each other. It may not be impossible. Let's just say you might have to work a lot harder than what you would need to work with an aligned leadership team. So what we do is we take a very simple approach to strategic planning. what we call our VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer, and we boiled strategic planning down to 8 questions. Number 1, who are we? So what are our core values? And these core values are what we use to hire, fire, review, reward, and recognize all of our people on. This is the behavior that we are expecting of our business, right? This is the people filter. So these core values are what we use to attract the right people in the organization and kind of keep away the wrong people. Number 2, what's our core focus? So where are we laser-like focus on? What is the purpose, cause, and passion of this organization? Also, what niche are we operating in? And this becomes kind of our opportunity filter, because most entrepreneurs, they get distracted by what we call shiny stuff. So what this does is it just kind of gets laser-like focus into what it is that we exist for. Which of course helps when you have kind of a people filter and an opportunity filter to be able to, again, get the right people laser focused on what it is that we're all about. Number 3, what's the 10-year target? So where are we going? That kind of a Jim Collins term, the BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. What's the marketing strategy for this organization? So we kind of take a different approach, not telling you how many times to post on Facebook or Instagram, but rather what is the demographic, geographic, and psychographic nature of our ideal client. So we really kind of crystallize who our ideal clients are and what we need to say to be able to get them in, so we can go out and then we find them through that kind of lens. What's our 3-year picture? So we crystallize that 10-year plan. What are we measuring over the course of these 3 years to get us to where we want? Crystallize that even further to a 1-year plan, which is going to be 3 to 7 goals. Still, of course, measuring the things that we're measuring in the 3-year picture, but what are the 3 to 7 goals over the course of the next year that we're going to put laser-like focus on, and then extracting rocks from those goals. And rocks is another term we use, kind of think of it as a priorities every quarter to be able to help get us to achieve those goals. And then simply, what are the issues in the organization? So all the issues, all the impurities of the organization, when you get things starting to line up, are still going to float to the top. And what we want to do is get really good at solving those issues, so we knock them down, they go away forever. When you answer those 8 key questions, it's front and back, or 2 pages, however you want to look at it, VTO, Vision Traction Organizer, which is the strategic plan for the organization.
So this is where I think hopefully our listeners can get some of these parallels that I already saw to my life and to their life, which is to say there's this idea of really taking time, because I think what you're coming into these organizations and they're running and they're running and they're running, and rarely they're taking time to say, what is our vision? Who is our ideal customer? What are these things? So think of it in your own life, and I think this is why you oftentimes at the beginning of the year I'm doing an episode on what is the goal planning. Let's look at the goals I had last year. How did I approach those goals? What happened to those goals? And then what am I planning for this year? And that's a one-time-a-year thing, and I do talk about that often. But prior to that, even going before the goals, which you talked about your 10-year and your 5-year, your 3-year and your 1-year, we have this idea of vision and purpose. And I think how often are we actually stopping and thinking about, what is my vision? What is my purpose? What are my goals in life? What's the kind of guy I want to be? And I think when you think about that, when you think about who's the man I'm trying to be, period. And who am I? Obviously, I'm a child of God. I'm hopefully trying to act a Christian, all these things. When you're doing that, you're putting this, hopefully this ideal client, this ideal person that you want to be in your head, and then you have to work backwards on the goals for that. And I think that each of us needs to take time and stop and think. Go to adoration. Sit down and pray on who is the man that I want to be. As a father, as a brother, as a son, as a business person, whatever these various roles are, these hats, these identities we have in our lives, I think it would behoove each of us to stop with the rat race for a hot minute, stop and think, reflect, pray, and say, okay, what is the vision? Who is the man that I want to be? And then we start implementing these things you're talking about.
Well, you're speaking my language here, Joe, because it's essentially exactly what it is that we do here in EOS, is where leaders get themselves in the most trouble in their business is when they don't take the opportunity to work on the business. They work in the business on a regular basis, and they're going 150 miles an hour regularly, 7 days a week for some, but they don't take that kind of time, and sometimes it takes some good time to be able to be able to rise above the business, go about 30,000 feet and start working on it, almost kind of like surgeons working on the business. And then we do that every 90 days. So we call it kind of a 90-day world. And then the other 89 days is you're going crazy, running 150 miles an hour right in the business, accomplishing those rocks that you need to accomplish and headed in the right direction, coming back after those 90 days, again, rising above the business again. And that's the pattern. That's the cycle that you move in. And I love the parallel to life. I think you're exactly right. We kind of go about life pretty quickly. You know, as they say, life comes at you pretty fast, but oftentimes we have we don't have the discipline to be able to rise above and work on our lives rather than in.
And John, you and I are in the same boat as far as kids and ages and stuff. And I think, you know, if you look back in your life and you didn't give 100% to you were so busy in your business, you put your head down, you weren't as effective as possible, and you didn't stop every 90 days to think about the business. Yeah, you might regret it a little bit, but how much more will you regret when your kids are gone and you didn't stop and take a breath and be like, gosh, did I actually parent them the way I wanted to? Did I make time for them the way I wanted to? And I think that's where something like this, to take a day every quarter and to say, all right, I need to slow down, I need to think, I need to be targeted at what are my goals with marriage? What are my goals with my kids? What are my goals with my work? What are my goals with my fitness? What are my goals in my health in general? And I think it'd be a missed opportunity in your business if you didn't do something like this, but way more so in life. Yeah. And I think what I love about the system is it forces these 90-day stop and think periods, these once-a-year stop and think periods, these thinking big period pictures, which I think we all need to do. I know Kristen and I talk about it's really hard for us to think 10 years from now because, all the kids and whatnot, but it's much easier for us than to think, okay, 3 years, 1 year, quarterly. And we do a pretty good job at it, but I think this system would really help if you somehow brought it down into your family life, into your personal life, would be extraordinarily beneficial for all of us.
The beauty of the system is its simplicity, right? I mean, it's very simple. And I, as you're saying before, I have taken some of these timeless tools and concepts and brought it into my marriage. In our family, it's just almost kind of, as one of my clients says, it's changed the trajectory of his brain, right? It's just changed everything about the way he operates and lives, and it has for me as well, just in general. And I think sometimes people can maybe think, all these systems and consulting and all this is really complicated. It doesn't have to be, and like I said, the system just works, but it also can work in your personal life as well.
Yeah, and here's one thing that's funny. I've had people I know who love EOS who try to bring it into their marriage, and they try to do it the exact same way as they do in a business, and that's not going to work. No. All the time, the spouse might not be as thrilled. It's like, all right, keep business a business. I'm trying to live a life here, but I do think there is a level of getting on the same page. And you talk about the right people in the right seats. Well, obviously, in your marriage, you have the person, right? So there's no firing people off the bus here. We're all on the same page. It's a matter of coming up with something together that works, right? And what can work for us in marriage. And that's why these, dare I say, it's even more important because you can't kick someone off the bus. Right. So you better learn to be effective with the person that's on the bus.
Well, quite literally today in the car with my wife, I asked her a couple questions, and she turned to me and she said, "Are you trying to EOS me? Are you trying to EOS me here?" And I was like, "Yes, I actually am." As a matter of fact, So yeah, it is. It's a system that you can take into your life. But I love the way you're looking at it, man. I mean, you're looking at it from the whole life perspective as well, which is extremely important. As you say.
Well, what's the kind of father you want to be? What's the kind of husband you want to be? All these things. Kristen and I have gotten into a pretty good routine on Sundays. Sunday nights is the night we get together. We use a thing called the marriage journal. We try to do that every Sunday if we can. If not, we're at least going through our weeks together. And that's a once a week planner. We're discussing our weeks. It's getting us on the same page. But that's, again, at that point, you're in it. You're already kind of in the week. The week's happening. It always behooves us to step back and say, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to do with the kids? Not just this week, but maybe this quarter, this year.
Was this where your vacations were born from?
No, vacations were actually born from, and this is one of the things I mentioned on a show recently, like, we saw other people doing this, and it excited us so much. Like, if they can do it, we can do it.
Let me say, I don't view what Joe does as a vacation. So let me also just put that out there, okay? Maybe a vacation for him, but I mean, it's incredible, but you seem like you kind of have a plan going into that, right? This is how...
I will say it's on our goal list. So I look at my thing for the year, things I want to do. There's a certain amount I've got in my... It's funny, we're going through interns right now like crazy, and so all these interns are coming in out of the office like nobody's business. And with that, I'm sharing a lot of my goal lists with them because they're asking questions, and if it comes up, I'll bring up, here's my goal. My goals are X, Y, and Z. I have work goals, but I also have family goals. I have fitness goals. I have these various things, and within kind of life and family, one of them is always some sort of trip, making some sort of memories with the kids. This year was in addition to the mountains trip, we also did a water park and some other things that we kind of had planned that we wanted to have on the radar. I have certain things like different piano pieces that I'm hoping to read or books I want to read. So I have my list has some variability within it of these types of things, but the vacations are absolutely on the list because to me it has become paramount as a family that we do these things. So we go on vacation, we go on an adventure together, and so it's absolutely part of the planning. And John, we already have one of them planned out for, I think it's 2 years from now or 3 years from now. We're doing a 2 or 3 week, probably a 3 week trip out to the Northeast. It's like we're already thinking the
3-year picture.
We're already thinking about
it's
it.
there.
So we got those. All right. So what other types of things? Obviously, we have the vision now. We created this plan. And about 3 minutes left here. What are the next kind of tactile things that you do with their businesses that would make sense then to implement into your life?
We build a plan to be able to get there, right? So there's 6 key components. There's a vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. I won't and don't have time to go into all of them. I'll say the traction component because I think it's extremely important. There's a saying in the EOS community that vision without traction is hallucination. And so what does that mean? It means if you have a vision but you don't have a plan to be able to get there, it's just pointless, right? You're hallucinating. You're just kind of sitting in the clouds. And on the opposite effect, if you got all these plans and goals, but you've got nowhere that you're running, you got no vision, well, the same thing's going to happen, right? So what we do is kind of marry the two. So we create a clear plan to achieve the vision. That's one of the objectives every 90 days that we do as a business. Again, what's the vision? Create that clear plan to be able to do it. And then, of course, get into the library of all the tools and resources that we talked about. Again, many of which should have been around for 100 years and they'll be around forever to be able to stay disciplined and focused in that. But I think the biggest key component, I think the one that is probably the one most people struggle with in business just in general is the people component. And that is just making sure that you have all the right people in the organization that are sitting in the right seats. So if you were to say what's the one that most struggle with, I'd probably say that one. But you get in a good cadence with a good system. I tell everyone, every business, I don't care who you are, needs to be running on an operating system of doing business. This is a people system. Every business, I don't care which one you use. I happen to think EOS is the best, but there's other ones out there. I think this one is by far one that can help. But yeah, just in general,
I think
it can help.
I think and the people thing. Obviously, I was joking with the wife thing, but I'm serious. Like whoever your spouse is, you're married. There's no getting off. But the people you surround yourself with, John, you're the one who talked about this in the past. Back in kind of when we became good friends, it's like there is a point at which you have to choose your friends.
Yes.
And those people you surround yourself with and you spend the most amount of time with are the ones you're going to be most like. And so I do think within marriages, surrounding yourself with other couples, or whether you're married or not, if you're a single guy, like surrounding yourself with other Christian people who are on the same page, who are going through the same things, that is going to help you in ways you can't even dream about. And I know in my life personally, I've seen it happen. I mean, I've seen as we've connected ourselves with these really just devout Catholic families, it's helped us a lot as well.
Yeah, life, as you say, it doesn't have to be burdensome. There's going to be sufferings. There's going to be struggles, yes. But same thing with work. Work can actually be fun, too. So a system can help with that.
Cool.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
John Leonetti, thanks for joining me today.
This was fun.
We'll stick around. We'll head to a short break, and we'll be right back.
Dad, how are things going in St. Vincent de Paul?
Awesome, Zoe. Our 6th Avenue, Army Post Road, and Windsor Heights locations are really busy.
Steve Haveman, Executive Director of St. Vincent de Paul, thanking you for your continued support.
How can people help St. Vincent de Paul, Dad?
By donating and shopping.
St. Vincent de Paul helps everyone, even kids' lives.
Yes, Zoe, even kids' lives. Thanks for shopping at our St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores.
St. Vincent de Paul helps everyone, even kids.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by CTO. What great news for donors to the Catholic Tuition Organization. You now receive 75% of your donation back in Iowa tax credits. Your support has helped thousands of students attend our Catholic schools. Best gift ever. Online, ctoiowa.org. At CTO, the bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
Welcome back to Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. My thanks again to John Leonetti. Might be the first time you've ever heard that John has work outside of the Catholic Church, but yeah, he's been doing that for a few years now, and his business has grown significantly. And as part of the men's group, I know that the satisfaction he gets out of watching other businesses thrive because of this model, again, similar to how Iowa Catholic Radio thrived because of it, which would lead John into this. And my experience with it, as I mentioned, is multifaceted. I've read the book. I've had many clients who implement this, obviously with John, and I've seen the benefit it has in the business world. And I'm always thinking, can we take some stuff like that and implement it in our own personal lives? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. Right? This idea of having a vision. What is the vision for your life? If you're single and you haven't gotten married yet, what is that vision? If you are married, let's say you're married with no kids, that vision is going to be a little different than someone who's married with 6. But regardless of that, you've got to paint that vision, figure out what that is, and then from there, implement it, right? So let's come up with 10. Let's first off have the 10-year goals, have those 3-year goals, have those 1-year goals, have those every 90-day goals. After we've sat back and examined our life and figured out where do we want this life to go. And I think a system like EOS, while very good for business, can also be implemented within our own personal life. And I think each of us needs to take that opportunity. And, this is obviously, we're in the middle of August. This isn't probably the best time. This isn't January 1st or July 1st. But still, I think find time in prayer to figure out what is the Lord calling you to in this life. What is the Lord calling you to that you then need to implement a plan around? And I think finding those pillars, whether it's with your spouse or without, if you're married or not, to take the time to do those things and to come up with a goal and to work on it. I think we're all called to do this. And if we don't, my fear is, similar to how I mentioned with the business, if you're a business and you don't do this, you say, maybe I wasn't as profitable as I could have been, I could have been as efficient as I could be. But as a father, as a husband, you don't want to miss those opportunities to say, man, I let life slip by. I never thought about spending quality time or intentional time with my kids and my wife and all these things. So anyway, I thought it was definitely worth taking time to dive into. Again, the book is called Traction. If you want to get the book by Gene Wickman, and you can read the book and learn a little bit more about it that way. So my thanks again to John Leonetti, and thank you for joining me today on Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. I am Joe Stopulus. It's time to man up.
Man Up, inspiring men to live out their call to holiness.